to GT Girls Garage. Wanted to say a quick thank you out to our sponsors, which is GripRad, Simtec Motorsports, Donuts and Wheels, and ZOCIETY. Unfortunately, Tris could not join us this evening, and Lexii had technical difficulties and had to reschedule for the 26th. So look forward to meeting with her. Sure you guys have seen me before. My name is Music Chick, and we have a lovely new member here today. And Amber. Oh, sorry.
My name's Amber. I go by Amber YA_R33 on Instagram. My main highlight is obviously my Skyline. But I drift for Anubis Motorsports, and they have a 350Z LS powered that I'm learning and training in, and I'll be drifting next weekend. So, yeah.
I had no idea about that. That is like the coolest thing ever. Because you're kind of new. Like, I will like learning more about the new girls because we're such a small, tight-knit community, but we don't really get a lot of opportunities to kind of learn. Tell me, I mean, so you drift. That's so cool. I suck at drifting. I just dipped my toes in it, and I am horrible at it. But so, do you do like a lot of like competing in shows?
I would love to get to the point of competing. Yeah, it takes quite a while of seat time to kind of build up to that. And I mean, anybody getting started, it's kind of just figuring it out. And you kind of do it in steps, kind of figuring out catching the drift and getting that initiation, and then figuring out transitions and everything. But then understanding the car that you're in, it's definitely a learning process. It's definitely a lot harder than just drag racing and stuff like that, I think so. But it's really fun.
Yeah, it's definitely really different compared to a lot of different types of racing. My racing is based from motocross to street bikes, sport bikes to drifting, even though I've had cars the whole time and been in love with them the whole time. But it's so much different. It is so cool how motorsports can be so filled with variety.
Yeah. Hi, Movie. I'm looking at your
love it. Oh, I know. Yeah. So that's Darcy, and then the one who's trying to play catch right now is Roland. So they're they like to hang out and be a part of the show. But no, definitely love it here. Bumby, miss you. We were on the first show together. It was awesome. Tell me a little bit about your R33. What kind of got you into that?
I kind of came across it. I had a Mini Cooper, ironically, before. It was like my most recent car that I had. I drove that little thing all the way down from Iowa. I got it from a guy. He like fully built it and everything. So it was a fun little go-kart. And but I was ready to move on to something else. I've had many other cars in the past, but that was my most recent. And then I sold it, and I started looking for anything available. And a guy that works at Speed Zone, he had this car imported not too long ago and had it up for sale. He was going to do stuff with it, and then he kind of was like, I want to get a different car, different direction. So I got it like Christmas Eve. And so it was like, Merry Christmas to me. But yeah, it was like completely stock, and it was just clean, amazingly clean, like inside and out. It definitely looks like it's been kept in the garage. And I've never owned an imported car before. So after I got it, I didn't realize, just thinking about insuring the car,
Oh, man.
Like insurance companies, they're just like, we can't find it in our system. We can't insure this car. So then I was like, all right, this is a learning curve. So I happened to figure out like American Collectors Insurance. They have really good rates, but it can't be obviously daily driven car. So, they check in all that, make sure it's garage kept. But it's actually really reasonably to insure once you start researching it. But just things I didn't know about on imported cars. But, yeah, a lot of people kind of ask me questions about it everywhere I go. Just, making the joke of right-hand drive and stuff like that. But, yeah.
People get the drive-thrus backwards, the whole...
I just usually park and walk in because this is too complicated. I've seen people with those extender arms, like going through the window to get their, hand them.
Oh, see, that's where it's at. That's why I'm too lazy to go inside.
But luckily, I don't eat too much fast food, so it's not too much of a problem. But yeah, but yeah.
Love it.
But I want to do the manual swap on it. It is unfortunately automatic. There's actually a transmission on the other side of it, but there's a lot of other components that I have to source and collect to do the swap. So in the process of that right now, and that'll be a huge transformation just on that alone. But back to what I said, I got it with a stock, did a body kit, paint job, and a hood and the steering wheel right now. I mean, otherwise it's just mint and stock. I drove all the way to St. Augustine, and it broke down on me out there. And then that was a fun experience because then I was worried because, with the body kit and everything on it, I couldn't just call the tow truck to come get it. And I was so far from home. So I was like, I'm just going to push it, off this main road. So then I'm like running down the street, pushing it, and then a cop shows up and he's like, what kind of car is this? And then I'm like, just help me push. So me and this cop are pushing the car down the rest of the way down the road. And then once we got it, off to the side, then it was basically uninstalling the whole body kit on the side of the road and then getting it on a flatbed. And we ended up towing it to a nearby shop, Interstate Performance. And he was wonderful to let us be able to use his shop to figure out. It was just some wiring to the fuel pump that was finicky, but good to go now.
Man, is that the RB26 in that, or
it's the RB25?
25 still? Okay. I'm so bad at remembering what years go with those engines. So but the ceramics in the RB25s, I mean, that performance that you get out of that is just. It's just smooth. It's nothing competes to how the RB25s and just RBs in general performed over the last decade. I don't think anything comes close.
Yeah. But they say they don't need a whole lot, just to have that performance you want. So I'm just going to keep it very simple. I think it'll just be more reliable. Don't do anything crazy with it. I would love to get to the point of drifting it. I have to do some more modifications, but yeah.
I would have such a hard time. I would bubble wrap that thing. I'd be like, no, it's okay. But
well, it's like at the last drift event, they had a bad accident, and it was a nice, clean. I think it was a 240. Didn't have a cage or anything, and they were tandeming in the rain, and just boom,
just sideswipe.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's all part of drifting, right? Sometimes people crash.
Yep. Well, and at least it's not a unibody, like the old Mustangs and such, where you don't have to worry about if you dent one thing, it's not going to be irreplaceable. It just takes a little bit harder to find those parts, if something was to happen. Like I've unfortunately seen that with a couple like really nice old Mustangs out here that get drifted and then they get trashed, and I'm like, you just trashed a unibody Mustang. Your whole car is ruined. So at least it's not that. But it's very cool. What are you daily?
Well, I was daily this for quite a while. And right now, the job I have, I do sales. They give me a company car, so that's a blessing. The economy's weird right now. Like the job I had before, I bought a vehicle brand new, and usually after you drive it for a short period of time, you would think you wouldn't be able to turn around and sell it. But I turned around and I sold it, and it's just like that's unheard of back in the day. So it's crazy out there. Used cars are worth more right now. And since I bought this thing, it's doubled in value since I bought it. I bought it just before like the crazy spikes of price went out. So it's definitely collector. I can't imagine ever selling this car. Yeah. And then I get so nervous driving in crazy traffic. You're sitting at a light and you're looking in your mirror like, is somebody going to rear end me? Please don't rear end me.
Please don't rear end me. Please don't rear end me. I can't afford this. Like, I definitely understand that. Like my Datsuns, I've had them forever. Those have been kind of like my cars. And and I sold one, and I regret selling it, and I sold it for $4,500, trading it in for my Harley that I have. And it was just such a big mistake because that was end of 2019. If I'd have held on to my Datsun, my all stock matching numbers, mint stock Datsun 280Z, I could have sold it this year or even last year for over $20,000. I'm like,
I know, right?
you kidding me? I lost so, but it's it's just kind of one of those things where it's like every time I see someone with like an R33 or even another Datsun or even like I don't know, I saw a VW Rabbit the other day that I was just like, that is in such nice condition. Why are you driving it?
Yeah.
Bubble wrap that.
I know. It's funny, like I'm on Instagram a lot. I look at all the skylines, and it's always like R32 or R34. R33 like doesn't get as much attention as the other generations. So
Which kind of baffles me because for me personally, the R33, the body line of it, I like so much better than, and I think the R34 is a little overrated, and I think the R32 is a little overrated to be honest. And the body lines just aren't as appealing to my eye as much as the R33s, just because they're so clean cut, and they're just and you have the RB engines, which that I know that's in all Skylines, but it's like, oh,
yeah,
nothing beats that.
I like how each generation has a really defined different body line, and I like the R33s, especially because they don't get the same attention, so they feel a little more unique. But yeah. And this is sedan, so there's mini sedans. There was a guy that I followed a lot on the other side of the country. He had one, and his was like this metallic purple, and he drifted it and everything. He just recently sold it. Now a guy I think in Ohio has it, but one of the few other sedan R33 Skylines that I've seen in the States with the same body kit. So it was kind of like twinning, but
yeah, definitely. Looks like we have Pothole Paul on with us this evening. I'm not sure Pothole Paul's going to talk, or I'm not sure who Pothole Paul is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Pothole Paul, can you unmute yourself for a second so we can find out?
Are you drinking moonshine now? Where's the water?
Water was like that close to coming out. I know. No, so it is a moonshine bottle, but I do not drink. I like my neighbors will have like driveway drinking, and so we'll sit around and whatever, and they'll buy alcohol, and then they always have, they have moonshine left over, and I get the bottles. And I rinse them and wash them, and I make them my water cups. And I totally didn't think anyone was gonna notice that.
I went up to the camera, and I was like, "Man, she's taking that like a champ, just drinking it like that stuff is."
Just straight facing it, like just if you started from before we were on here, I had this was full of water. I'm a little dehydrated.
Geez, Ryan, I dropped it off at her house just a couple hours ago before the show started.
Oh, that's true. That is true, Paul. Believe you did.
Oh, I like shine. I like strawberry moonshine, blueberry moonshine. If it comes in a mason jar, I'll drink it.
Well, and that's what racing, originated from, was actually from running liquor. And it was from the Prohibition era, and that was what kind of initiated and kick-started racing, was running moonshine. So
down there in the backwoods of the Appalachians, that's exactly how it started. We have those 32 Ford V8s, those flatheads, and they got up and that they had some speed on me. I was leaving cops left and right. Them barracks couldn't catch me.
I'm struggling, guys. You're hysterical, Paul. I always forget. Every once in a while you come through.
Well, I always look out for my peoples. When you're having a bad day, I know you hurt yourself riding them dirt bike things or whatever it is you call them. I make an extra batch of shine for you. It gets you over that pain. I know the meds is good, what them pharmaceutical people be kicking out, but nothing beats a good bottle of Triple X shine. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's true, yeah. And I was riding my dirt bike this last weekend, which is why I was not able to attend the show. And I my dirt bike died, basically killed out mid jump, and I apologize for my dogs that are now ferociously playing. My bike died mid jump over like a 35-foot jump, and I landed. My bike just kind of dropped, and I was able to walk away with just a tib fib and covered in bruises. So I will take that over anything. It hurts so bad. And kind of, Amber, I know you're kind of new to the motorsport world, and your son is as well. Like, have you guys had any of those incidences yet?
So far, I mean, like I got my first bike Christmas time, so hasn't been too long. And then he has this electric razor. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. He learned on that, and then now he's got this Honda. It's going to be used in the mini GP, and he's kind of drove it a little bit here, but we're waiting to get like a suit and everything. There's a gnat flying in front of my face.
You're fine. You're fine.
It's like, but we're waiting for his suit to come in. It's going to take like 4 weeks, but he'll feel a lot more confident having that full protection. And but we haven't had any accidents yet. But I know, like, I'm gonna be pretty sad, like falling my bike over at some point.
Yeah, I think it's when you can graduate bikes. I think is honestly the first time you lay down a bike, or even if you just knock it over. I'm guilty. I've ridden street bikes for many years, and I've totally been one to like think I'm putting down the kickstand and I'm in neutral and I kick it into first and the bike jumps and I just drop it. I've done that 2 times in very public meets. It's not fun. It's not cute.
I mean, it happens. I can imagine.
So what kind of? So I know your son, was kind of shifted and wanted to get into, the motorsport and the supermoto racing and stuff like that. What got you involved in, getting your sports bike?
Well, I always wanted a motorcycle. My dad always kind of delayed me on having the ability to do that. And then once I was old enough to start being able to drive, I mean, I was already like passionate about cars. So I just completely like abstracted and was just like focused on cars. So it's back in the day when Hondas were a big thing. I had a Honda Del Sol.
Oh! I missed the Del Sols. I'm sorry. That just set to me to high school. We're good.
Yeah, it was like, everybody was into Hondas, and I don't know where I got my first Honda. I don't remember where I bought it from. Just some random. I grew up in Iowa. Some random person there I got it from, and then it had the V16 engine already in it, which was a lot more powerful than a lot of the single cams, and then it already had like a cold air intake on it. And so I was driving it one day and it rained real bad, it sucked up the water, and it just killed the engine. So then it kind of kick-started, okay, well, we got to, so then it was like we put in a V18 block swap in it, and then it just like went from there, like we turbo it. So there was a local shop that I went to kind of help me get things built on it. And then I was like, well, what else can I do with the car? So I kind of brainstormed with them on kind of what my vision is. And then they kind of saw my passion for cars, and they're like, we'll help you. Cause I was like, it costs a lot of money to build a car. So I started like going to shows and promoting their little shop and stuff, and having conversations about what they can do for their car. And then my car is kind of an example of that. And, but I had a lot of fun and met a lot of people. Back then, like, there wasn't a lot of girls that were really into cars. So I just always kind of felt like, the odd man out. But, it was a lot of fun. We would meet, like, in random places, and people would, do their little races and stuff,
Yeah, the old days of the more like the true 1320 meets. I don't know if you guys have that out in Florida, but that's what it's called out here, and it's kind of like the underground scene. And it's not. There's so many cars that show up. I'm like, this isn't even close to being underground, guys. But the old days, kind of like what you were saying, is it used to just be a few good friends that would just meet up, and then a few people would join, and we'd go to Mexico, and that would be that. So that's really cool that you kind of got into it and were able to kind of have that sponsor aspect almost.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of did it like, it was just kind of, they didn't charge any labor or anything. So I'd buy the parts and they'd help me out. And then I would always be like trying to watch and learn. 'Cause, I was 18 at the time. And, but I didn't have really anybody like pushing me into this. I just, for some reason, I was like, just always like, since I can remember, I would just thought cars were cool and want to know more about them. I remember telling my dad when I was little, like, I'd love to be a mechanic or something. I don't know. You're a kid, you're trying to like, and he's just like, go be a doctor. They want you to do something more. So it was always like,
they push you away from it.
yeah.
They definitely kind of avoid it. I did Lincoln Tech for 2 years, became an AAC certified master tech, and then was watching my resume get thrown away. And so I feel like there was a little warning on my parents' side about that.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I can work on cars. So that's all fine and dandy.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, there's definitely that huge push, especially for women, to not be involved in the community, like, or in the field, especially the work field of it, except for, more so like the modeling side, which I believe you've done modeling in the past with cars. Is that correct?
No, never
No?
done modeling. I'm too awkward for modeling.
You're so hot. What do you mean you're too, what? I'm sorry. I'm taking aloof, but I shamelessly hit on it, like, well, pretty people. I'm terrible. That didn't come out right. But, I feel like that's a lot of like the women in the car, when people think of women in cars, they think of car models, which we do have a lot of really awesome car models, including our special guest that's going to be on the 26th. She's a car model and does that like actively.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Don't put me in front of a camera in a car. It's not going to be cute. I'll make weird, ugly faces and we'll just live like it didn't happen. But there is so much discouragement of it,
I think that it's always like you're either a car model or you're like the extreme. You have to know almost more than most guys to prove yourself. And I think it's intimidating for a lot of women who are like in the middle. And it's like, if you have an interest in cars, it doesn't matter if you know nothing or if you know everything, like it should be welcomed in the car community, like if you see, us wanting to understand, like don't be rude about it. I've had a lot of rude people, like usually when I was younger, I think people are a little more embracing of things and understanding now, but yeah, just walk into a car parts store, and I'd get like a motor mount, and then this guy would just be so offended that I'm in there, like,
It's like, let's go race. Let's just see. Yeah. And that's something that, I think GT Girls Garage is really trying to do, is kind of get more women a little bit out of that comfort zone of just being like, well, I don't want anyone to know, because if I don't know everything, and have that discouragement, because I definitely went through that when I was younger and first getting into car. My first car was a 95 Honda or it was a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
VTEC'd. I riced the crap out of that little Honda before I got into Datsuns. But like, no one really explained to me any of it. I felt so ashamed. I didn't want to go hang out with any of my car buddy friends or even just go to car meets. I didn't want to be around that because I felt very separated,
And it's almost like it's holding you back to go to places to learn things and ask questions. And I would go to like car meets and I would just kind of listen to what the guys are talking about, because I didn't have a boyfriend or a person teaching me. My dad was an estimating contractor, so he had a big shop and he was working on stuff. But some people have like a dad that would teach them all the mechanics. I just didn't have any. So I'm like, I'm just trying to understand. I'm like trying to get around that scene, and but it's always exciting to learn new things. And same thing like with drifting, learning that. It's just really exciting. And now Simtec Motorsports has go-karts, and now Kyler's doing the MotoGP. There's just a lot.
That's so cool. I love that so much. I drift, but it's not cute. I'm still learning. And that's the thing is cars, And life in general is such a learning. Life is about learning and growth and changing and all of that. So it's really nice when there are people in the car community who can step out and go, hey, like, let me show you a little trick about your car, or let's talk about this with your car. And they come off very wholesome and wonderful. And I've had people do that, especially, in the Datsun community. I don't know about the Skyline community as much. Would you say it's kind of like a close knit, like kind of everybody knows everybody, or is it very niche?
I don't know a lot of people with the Skylines around here. I've been in Orlando for maybe close to 3 years now. I moved here when COVID was going on, so it's like just starting to kind of really search and find people. I remember like there was one guy that drove by with the sedan R34, and chatted with him a bit, and he's been in a lot of other car shows I've been at. I've seen some, but a lot of them I see on Instagram. They're usually more long distance people, but it seems like everybody's excited. Like if you have another Skyline, it's like, what's going on, and it's like trying to find commonalities. People have questions and problems. The biggest thing that we talk about, which I think is funny out of anything, is the trunk. Like the struts for the trunk go out. So
do they really?
No. It's a heavy trunk, and there's a company that finally came out. I don't know why the coupe and sedan would be different for the struts, but I guess they are. And so it was like this long, like 6-month wait for them to come out with the design just for the. So it was so exciting to be able to open my trunk. It was like a conversation.
It's the little things. It's the little things. It totally is.
Yeah, load my groceries.
Your grocery getter. I get it. I totally get that. I just wasn't sure. So like the Datsun, Isaiah, which is DPAN and JPAN, reached out to me. I've known him for years, not like really well personally, but like just throughout the Datsun groups, because it is such a weird community, and so like we all like do the same thing. We're like, oh, I'm having this issue with, this. Can someone help me? Or like, I'm looking for this in parts and stuff. And it's a really nice thing. I wasn't sure if the Skylines had that or if it's still such a difficult. I mean, I only know 3 Skylines in Colorado right now, like off the top of my head. And I go out and I'm pretty active, and I still only know 3.
It's hard. I mean, when you see them out there, you're like, oh my gosh, I see more of the GTRs, coupes. I don't really see a lot of sedans, so they're harder to come by. I did see one. I go to the Orlando Speed World track a lot, and I did see one sedan R33 there. Didn't have a front bumper. I don't know what his plans are for. I'm curious, if he's gonna do body kit or what he's doing with it. But it's exciting to see one more there, But there's a few here and there, but very rare. So usually if you're driving by, you can't catch them. Hey.
No, I have to hear it before I can see him. And if I'm in my Datsun, I can't hear anything because I don't have I have a downpipe. So it's like, I may be able to hear one if my car is idling very quietly.
Yeah.
But they're so rare and they're so beautiful, and they're like one of the justifiably lovable vehicles.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Every something about an older car, every creak and every almost inconvenience of it just makes it so vintage,
Yeah.
It's a horrible sound when I close it, and just.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You feel everything on those cars.
Yeah. But it just feels real, and just the newer cars they don't have that same vibe. But
no.
Yeah.
No, they do not.
So tell me how long you've been drifting, because we talked about bikes before the show started, but I didn't know you drifted too. So I'm excited to hear that again.
I mean, I've been kind of sorry. I'm playing catch with my dog while I'm doing this, so it's been off and on for about 4 years. There's a local track, and it's actually at a motorsport complex there's like they have go-kart rentals, and you can race your sport bike on it, you can drift your car on it, and then they also have like a dirt bike track. Well, they have several dirt bike tracks. They've got like 6 dirt bike tracks as well. So
everything.
yeah, so I started going there, doing motocross stuff, and then when I started racing my R6 and doing stuff, I was doing that, and then I was like, "You guys let cars on this?" Huh. And so, I ended up being good friends with the owner just over decades of riding there, and he was like, "Yeah, you know what? If you let me drive your Datsun, you can have free access for a couple days here and there." And I'm like,
Yeah.
fair enough. So I started with my maroon Datsun that I had sold, and that was stock, and it was just not as fun or cute or anything like that. But then my current Datsun, which is my maroon one, I can turn off my camera and you can see it. Or not my maroon one, sorry, gray. um, this one I did an L 2.8 ET swap in it, and so I have a turbo, and I get about 350 to the wheel, despite having a turbo leak. I only get about like, I don't know, 10 psi for the turbo, but it's okay. I still send it. It's fine. I'm trying to blow through the turbo so I have an excuse to buy a new one.
Yeah, why not? Just keep going until
Exactly. Something's gonna break on it, and I'll just buy a new thing, and it'll be okay. But so I really started enjoying that and enjoying the community. I would go to drift events because I knew a lot of people involved in the community. And just kind of fell in love with it. It's something I still like to do. That track is really close by, makes it super convenient. I mean, it's about 15-20 minutes away from me. So it's very fortunate that they don't charge like a hefty track fee either. And then there's also there's a couple other like decent tracks nearby, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I suck at it, but I haven't crashed yet. So I'm gonna knock on wood.
I see Class A drivers crashing, so I mean, it's reassuring to know. I mean, you're driving the car out of control, so there's always something going to be going on. Whoop. The camera's doing weird things here. Did I lose you? I think I lost her.
Nope, sorry, I'm still here. We're good. We're good. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on.
Right now.
Technical difficulties. There we go. That's what I was going for. I had to open my dog's crate because he dropped his ball in there and couldn't figure it out. But anyway,
huh? So they're having a blast back there. I was watching.
They really are. Unfortunately, I took him to the park today, but it's been we've been in the negatives out here for about a week. I'm in Colorado, so it's been brutal. It's been very. It is. It's pretty sometimes until it's not. Fall is very pretty for about 2 weeks, and then everything is brown for like 6 months. Yeah.
When I grew up in Iowa, my parents, they would often drive like once a year over to Colorado. We'd go all through the mountains and stuff, and it's just the longest drive through Nebraska because it's very flat.
Cornfields.
It's like if Iowa's flat, Nebraska's just like even flatter. So we have a little hills in Iowa, but
yeah. But it's not bad. But Florida's kind of fun. What brought you down there?
Well, I've been in and out of Florida a lot. I was married for a long time prior in the military, so I actually met my ex-husband when I lived in Iowa, and then we moved to Tampa, and then New Jersey, and then Jacksonville, in California, and then I was in St. Augustine, and now I'm in Orlando. So I've been in and out of Florida a lot, but I've been in different areas of Florida, so it's been interesting to work and live for a few years in each area and see, the different communities and stuff. So
yeah,
I like Orlando.
Have you been trying to get involved heavily in the car scene out there? Like what does that look like down there?
It feels like the car scene's pretty busy here. I know like when I tried to go to like some car meets and stuff in Tampa, there was an area that I went to, and they were like doing like street racing. Totally wasn't legal, and everybody was like really, really just like they didn't want to talk to you. They didn't know you. It was just like no welcomingness whatsoever over there.
Oh, weird.
It was strange. I mean, I was working a lot more, and I didn't, I didn't have a lot of involvement of the car scene in Tampa, but I just didn't get much of a welcoming experience over there. But I know that there's other scenes going on there that I've talked to people since being in Orlando. Like they do a lot of car stuff there. So I just obviously didn't get to those locations before I moved. But here it's like Orlando Speed World, you know, having that skid pad. I've never been somewhere where there was drifting going on. They don't have that up in the Midwest when I was growing up. So this was new and exciting. We have, you know, drag strip racing, but not a skid pad. But yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of car stuff going on. And then there's the go-kart tracks here. They also do the motorcycle races and stuff, so they kind of share the track. They did at one time allow drifting on one of the go-kart tracks, but they're not doing that again right now. There's always possibility for the future of that, but you know, allowing drifting onto these tracks that don't normally do it, I know it usually kind of causes tension for people. I mean, that's a whole other caliber of large vehicles sliding around in their territory, so I understand that. And insurance is kind of the big thing for complications, and that changes all the time. So I get it. But yeah.
It's definitely tricky.
Yeah. But everyone seems really like nice, and there's no sense of intimidation as a woman. There's, you know, private drift days that are just all women. You can have up to 16 drivers on private days. And so it's
just,
I don't know I don't know what it's like at your guys' track and everything.
It's kind of similar to that, where it's just like, I mean, it's a pretty wide track, at least the one I go to, and so there's a lot of ability for multi-vehicles on there. I mean, now there's only 2 vehicles allowed on the track at the time because it's not a huge track, but it's very, like, it's still very fun, a lot of curves. It's a great learning track, is what a lot of people call it, just because it's somewhat hilly in some of the turns, but it's not like detrimental to where you're going to roll your car. I've never seen a car rolled at IMI, and fingers crossed it won't be me who do it. But and I just wanted to quickly say, you know, for those tuning in, you know, Trissa and Lexi were not able to make it today. Lexi will be on the show on the 26th. Not sure when Trissa's coming back on, but I know she will be soon. And Amber, I guess you did pinup modeling?
I did pinup modeling?
Did you? Or?
No.
I think Isaiah got it confused. I used the pinup model years ago when I was like very young. That's how I actually bought my DATSUN.
Oh, yeah.
I did a photo shoot, and it was rather spicy, and it did pay for my DATSUN. So, you know, that's kind of, yeah, it was me who was it. That's my bad.
I was doing natural instinct dog training. You know, our dirt bike track is next door to the drift pack. Yes. Yeah, there's a dirt bike track next to the drifting skid pad area.
Oh, that is so cool. So it's like they took IMI, or, you know, probably it's just a good concept for owning. If you're going to have extreme sports, you might as well do them all, right?
Yeah. So I haven't gotten into dirt biking. I'm just street bike right now, but
you got to do it.
Maybe in the future. Dog's barking.
I'm sorry. I had to mute myself on the second on that one. Darcy has a really pretty brutal bark. Yeah, I love dirt bike riding, but I miss street. I miss having a sports bike. Do you think you're gonna progress from the 400 soon?
I think I could be happy with the 400. I watched a lot of videos on different bikes, and then obviously with the market being weird, you know, I looked at used bikes and I was like, the same price you can get a new bike, and it's easier to, you know, finance and stuff. So I was like, and now that they've bumped up to a 400 cc, it's like, it seems like it's a nice happy medium starter bike, and but I'm happy with it, and I don't feel any rush to upgrade. I know there was a lot of like different opinions of that, and I was like, you know, because it kind of want to make a long-term investment out of it. So, but now that I see Tyler's into bikes, I'm just thinking at some point, you know, when he grows up, this could be his first, you know, big bike. So I'm just going to hold on to it until he's ready for it. And maybe at that point, then upgrade to something else.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, and I will say, because when I started riding street bikes, it was like the Ninja 250 was like the starter bike. And I knew so many people who had that grew out of it so fast that when I started riding, I mean, my first bike was a 73 Suzuki 250 two-stroke. And that was my street bike. It was a street legal little cafe racer that was ancient and wonderful, and I loved the crap out of it until it got stolen. But then I very quickly went and I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll get a 250 because they didn't have like the R3s or, the what's the other 300cc? Couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But they had other 300cc bikes, and I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Like, I've been riding dirt bikes forever. I wanted a happy medium. And then I had like an SV650, which was a little bit less torquey. And that was a great, I would say that would have been a great first bike for me. And then I jumped right into the R6 and then the leader bikes and just go.
And I'm sure everyone like just kind of goes at a different pace. Some people.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's like a whole 400 community page on Instagram, and I see.
Really, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people would make comments like, oh, it's a 400. Like most guys wouldn't ride on there, but there's actually a lot of guys on there with their 400. So it's like, it's still a good.
And if anyone wants to give you crap about it, turn around and say how many people are on Groms, the little 125, the Honda Groms, or the Z125s. Like, that's a tiny bike, but you can do really cool stuff on those lower CC'd engines and still enjoy it and have fun. And I wish I didn't feel so much pressure to get into the higher speed bikes because I've been a little too close. Had some really close calls, probably because I was too young to handle such an intense power in a motorcycle. So personally, I'm so happy that they've started to kind of come up with these medians. And even the R6 is no more. They're now the R7, but then they have the R3, and then I think they have a 400 now that they just came out with or are coming out with. So I think we're just taking the stepping stones, and the bikes have improved so much. Riding a 400 is, I'm sure you can attest to it. It's so smooth.
Yeah.
They are really smooth.
Yeah. A lot of people, I'll stop at a gas station a lot of times and, get something to drink, and people will wonder, what level bike it is, because I have the 400 covered, and they're surprised because they're like, it's such a big bike for a 400. So I guess like the prior generations were smaller and probably more dinky looking. I guess I don't know. That's kind of that they explain for their usual understanding of the smaller bikes.
Yeah, and that's usually what it is a lot of people associate the smaller CCs to having a smaller, size bike, but it's so inaccurate. And just with the performance that they've, technology that has improved through the motorcycle industry has been insane. So like, I'm sorry, the built-in stabilizers, my R6 was an 02. I had an 02 R6 or an 01, one of those. Couldn't tell you right off the top of my head. I've had way too many concussions and still healing. But the R3s, when they first came out with the R3, because Yamaha didn't have that lower level. They had the R6 and the R1, and those were your sport bike options. And now they have like the FZ07 and the FZ09, and those are kind of like the dual sport looking bikes. And then you also have now the R3, and when R3 came out, they were so small. They were probably about the size of your son's Supermoto.
Really? That's really small.
They were so small, and so everyone got made fun of when they had those. But I'm like,
but there was everyone's reacting to the 400 looking like such a large bike.
Yeah, but yours, I'm sure, does yours have like the traction control and all like the bells and whistles?
Yeah, I got the one with the ABS. They said even for like a learner, just for safety reasons. I don't think we'll lock up the brakes, but it was they don't have a lot of them like as an option in stock in the showroom. It was just like I called around looking specifically for a Ninja 400 after I went and looked at all the different kinds of bikes, and they were like, we don't have any. And I was like, somebody has to have one. And I wanted like certain colors. So I like green. And I called one and they said they have it, but they're not sure. It's still in the box. And I know it sounds silly, but I was like, I didn't really think about, when they transport the bikes and everything, how, what it looks like. So it just looked so exciting when it was in that box.
The big old crate.
I was just like, I just never seen them in the box like that before. So just being a newbie, I was like excited about it. But where'd you go? You disappeared on me.
He Isaiah's moving the camera over. I think he's trying to show off your garage of very awesome vehicles.
I'm like,
because it's so cool. And the fact that you got, your son's into it and you're supportive of that. I know that's like the hardest thing for a lot of parents is to letting their kids into the more dangerous sports.
Yeah, I feel like he'll do. We put the suit and the helmet on, and I watch a lot of videos of them going around the track, and a lot of them kind of tip over and slide. I mean, they seem to do pretty good. And then I watch people on dirt bikes flying up in the air, and you land and you're going to break something. I just kind of weigh in the, what kind of biking should he be doing? But
yeah.
I think this is a good starter, and he's got definitely drive for it. And they actually have a 3-day camp. It worked out perfect timing. As soon as he thought about it, I looked up online, and they had a 3-day South Florida mini GP. And they only do it once a year. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just all day. And they had several coaches that were like stations and teaching them everything. And I was reading the comments.
I just saw that. I was like, the clickbait got me in here. we had a little issue with a debate in one of our DATSUN pages about clickbaiting, but we're not trying to do that. We are talking about vehicles and motorsports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let us know if you have any questions. Hyperspeed Media, we'd be happy to help and answer. And love it. I love that there was a little bit of clickbait. I'm driving an audience. It's okay. But yeah, I love racing. I grew up living by a track, and that was what got me into it. Not my parents, not anything like that, but just being by the track and hearing the sounds and your son picking it up. And I will say, if and when I have kids, like, I'll probably keep them on supermotos for a very long time. I don't know if I want them to kind of fall in love with motocross as much as I've fallen in love with motocross, because it's done a lot of damage, unfortunately. But with supermotos, they low slide, they may scratch up their suit, they may need a new helmet, but it's still pretty generic and pretty, safe, so to speak, for being a high-speed sport.
And speaking of helmets, that's another topic that I think is helpful for people that are maybe first time like me getting a bike, really like analyzing the options of helmets. What is your thoughts of like the different brands, fitment? Like, I didn't realize all the different motorcycle helmets have like different brands kind of cater to different head shapes, and and even it's kind of overwhelming. You're looking online to shop at helmets, and sometimes they don't fit. Like the Icon helmet, it's really tight on my jaw line. So it's like I'm just trying to think of options.
Yeah. A couple comments. Hyperspeed Media. Sorry, just real quick. Yeah, I do have 2 very large dogs, and they are my children, and they are so much work. And then I have a 250 SXF KTM, and I'm looking at picking up a 2021 252 stroke KTM as well here soon. But circling back, so as far as helmets go, I actually have a wall of helmets above me. I would show you guys, but my room is still kind of a mess. I prefer, when it comes to street bike helmets, like I've ridden in Icons, they're okay, but I do the same thing where it squeezes the bottom of my face, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I don't feel like it's safe. When it comes to gear and safety gear, boots and helmets are the 2 things I care so much about more than any other kind of article of clothing, more than a suit, more than my jersey set, more than, any of my knee braces, anything like that. Helmet brands, if a solid sign to me is if they only make helmets. So like Shoei's and Arise are like my two favorite brand of helmets, and that's for street bikes and dirt bikes. My Arai helmet is so comfortable. It is just, it fits the shape of my head really well. I always recommend people going. I don't know if you guys have like cycle gear out there, but just trying the different fitments on. Like Arise, Bell's even make really good helmets as well. Bell's are a little bit, they run large, so if you are trying on a Bell, like go a size or two down from what you normally would. And then Shoei's for sport or like sport bikes fit me the best. Like absolutely, hands down. Sorry, dogs. Fit me better than anything when it comes to sport bikes, because they have the right amount of padding, and you can buy you can buy just the cheek padding and get that worked out, and that have a good face shape. That's what I've had to do with them.
Just keep your eye out for that Mr. Vanderpump. Let me have a Diablo sandwich of Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a goddamn hurry. You want something?
Hush, puppy, Daddy.
We got no time for that crap.
All right, sorry about that, guys. So that was our little section of letting us know that the show's about to wrap up. Bumby Arai for the win. That one is actually within reach. Whoop.
There's one online that I've been looking at that I love the design. It's like at the sun and then the toy and the dragon.
Oh.
And then it has this neon highlighter around the face, but I just like the overall style of it.
And that's definitely like the fun part about helmets is getting style.
Yeah.
Or you could be boring like me with so because of how much gear I wear, I like to think it's classy.
Yeah.
But
it goes with everything.
But like like helmets, you can have so much fun with it. I'm just so picky on brands to where like I would rather have a all white basic helmet from an Arai than a really cool Icon helmet, which by the way I do have a couple really cool Icon
helmets.
Yeah. Because they're so cool. What brand was the helmet you were looking at?
When I was looking at helmets, I have an Icon. It's got like a whole Egyptian pattern on it.
Oh, very cool.
The Air Flight one, but I got it because everything's Anubis, Anubis. So I seen that and I was like, oh, that'd be perfect. So I got that one, and then I was also looking at another Icon helmet, and I'm trying to think of the specific one. It's the one that has the face shield that comes down real low.
Oh, yeah, I have one of the Air.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like,
I really should know it. It's sitting in my living room. I keep my helmets everywhere.
But that one is really like, it was comfortable for several rides, and now all of a sudden it's just been like bothering my jaw. And I got the larger cheek pads. It's still just, I don't know. All of a sudden now it's like not comfortable, and I went, yeah. So, but it was lower, so it wasn't like pushing my cheeks up. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that face. When we're wearing helmets and it's his face. Oh, looks like Natural Instinct Dog had it's the Air Flight is the brand. Bumby wants to see your helmet, and then I'm from Colorado. I'm from Loveland, Colorado, and then Amber, where in Florida? South, north, south? I'm sorry, brain.
I'm basically in Orlando. I'm in a small town of St. Cloud in the south of Orlando. I just say Orlando because everybody knows where that's at.
I know. I usually have to be like, I'm in Denver. I'm 45 minutes north of Denver. It's not even the same thing. Whole different atmosphere. Yeah. But we'll have to do like a helmet thing where we all have like our helmets on for the show.
Yeah, that would
like
be
a
awesome.
Safety talk. That would be really cool.
And then you talked about boots. What kind of boots?
similarly to helmets, with my rule of thumb there is if they make other articles of clothing, generally not the best. Not to ever, I've never owned a pair of Fox boots. However, Fox boots for women, I try to avoid. Most women's boots for motorcycles and dirt bikes do not buy, because you will wear them out so much faster, because they're made for like the little like, oh, I'm interested in a hobby, maybe possibly I'm interested in riding backpack but want to be safe. They're great for like short things like that, but when it comes to long term, especially dirt bike boots and moto boots, they just don't have this highest quality. I like CDs and Garniers when it comes to those. For street bikes, I actually wear CDs as well, and so those are kind of like the nice, they're a great quality boot, and they're only made by Boots, but I get the men's and then I just convert the size to women's. So I highly recommend doing that, especially for other women who are watching this and looking at boots and stuff and looking on the motorsport sides of things. Highly, highly suggest getting men's boots and just men's gear in general. I had a pair of women's like Thor motocross boots that made it a week and I demolished them.
What are the companies doing? If they're using like obviously maybe weaker materials or something, like I don't understand what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's usually like weaker materials, or like they don't have as much like of the technology built into them. Next time I'll bring one of my boots. I'll have my boots out, and I think I still have a pair of old like racing boots from when I was racing my R6 that I can show you as well, just to kind of like give people an example of like a safe boot and like what it means to have like your legs protected. The only reason I broke one leg, this isn't a good example, but it was such an impact, and it would have shattered more bones in my legs had I not been wearing the boots I was wearing, which was my CDs. I wear the Crossfire 2s for motocross, and they are phenomenal. And it would have been far worse of an injury than what I was able to walk away with had I not been wearing the right boots.
Thank goodness for that. This has been interesting, learning about gear and everything. I'm learning something all the time with motorcycles.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many like good suits and stuff. I'll try and like get a collection of things of like all the gear that I've tried and loved, and stuff like that. Just for women's, it's so hard because like I love how women's gear fits the bod, but it never holds as well as when I just buy the men's gear. Yeah. Unfortunately. Hyperspeed Media, we would love to be friends with you and do a collaboration. Feel free to Instagram probably either of us or DPAN. We'd love to chat. My Instagram handle is Music Chick. And then Sin City has a Z. Yeah. No, she does. She is great. And actually, I think we do have an interview with her. I think she's coming on in March. So that's going to be exciting for our channel as well. Sorry, I was just catching up on the comments here.
Yeah, I know, I was reading them too.
But it's very cool, being able to be a part of such a cool community, and the motocross and the motorcycle. I didn't feel as pushed away from the motorcycle community as I had in the car community. So I think that was what initially drove me to focus more on my sport bike racing and then my motocross throughout life. But I still love cars. I love cars more than anything. My Datsun is my baby. Do you have any car tattoos? I'm just curious.
Do I have car tattoos?
Mm-hmm.
I have a tattoo, but it's not a car. It's a bird. But
it's pretty.
Still work in progress, But
a lot of people don't like brand themselves with their vehicles. I definitely did. My first tattoo is Datsun right on the side of my thigh. I'm committed to them for life. I wasn't sure if you had a Skyline tattoo or something like that.
I'll put it somewhere.
There we go. I love it.
This is kind of Asian, like the Asian back theme tattoo. So, it is Skyline. So,
yeah. Real quick, I know we're getting ready to wrap up here, but do you have a name for your Skyline? Just curious.
Well, it has been named Betty. And they kind of, Anubis started calling it Ugly Betty. I started calling it Bad Betty after it got painted. So we just call it Betty.
Betty.
That's the name it's been given. It has, I don't know, it has a catchy ring to it.
I like it. I like it. My my Datsun is Sasha.
Oh, I
Sasha
like that.
Grey.
Yeah.
It's a really inappropriate joke for the adults who get it. That they'll see it. But oh, and we do have Tiana. Will be on March 5th, which will be cool as well. We have a lot of really cool guests. It's awesome. Amber being on the team. Sorry, you're this way. Is super awesome as well, just because you are a rock star.
We're hugging. We're virtually hugging.
There we go. I can do it. We figured it out. I love it. Well, just want to say thank you guys for tuning in and all the comments. It's really nice to have interaction. We love talking to people. I love talking to each other. Amber, this has been such a delight having you on here. I haven't had a chance to be on a show with you, so it is really cool.
Yeah, this is my first time on the show, and your motorcycle passion, we definitely highlighted a lot of that. So I definitely. Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. Well, one last shout out to our to our sponsors. We have Grip Red, Simtec Motorsports, Donuts and Wheels, and ZOCIETY, which is Society, but it's got a Z in front of it. I'm sorry, I can't help but say the Z in it. And again, my name is Music Chick, and this is Amber. Amber, yeah, underscore R33. Sorry, I wanted to say Amber R33, but I was like, nope, there's a Y.
Yeah, Amber YA underscore R33. Yeah. And
awesome.
Also, Anubis Motorsports is the other Instagram you should follow.
Yes, check out Anubis as well. Well, wonderful. Thank you guys for joining us. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.